get it going here. All right, so just to get it kicked off, maybe let's just start with you, Ahmed. A little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, my name is Ahmed Omar. I'm the founder and CEO of Sully.ai. Sully.ai is helping doctors save time and make less mistakes using AI by basically saving them from all the administrative work they have to go through. Yeah, this is how I do.
Yeah. Oh, James, you're up next. Come on, a little bit about yourself, what you do.
Hi, I'm Dr. James Kelley. I'm a sports med doctor by training background, as well as an MBA in early stage medical innovation. So I'm chief medical officer for a company that is also an AI tool for doctors to optimize workflow and improve outcomes of patients. We call it a memoriam, so it'll help doctors and nurses and PAs, clinicians of all types, in advance of seeing the patient. They'll have extra boost in memory retention around what could be the issue, hopefully have a better visit, less typing, more focus on the patient. So that's the main focus of what we do. I also advise a couple other startups and work with some funds in, again, early stage and pre-seed and seed round.
Sarah, a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Thank you. Sarah Turner. I have a neurotech company, so it's called CeraThrive. It's red light technology, red and near infrared light. So it's for a brain wellness application, but I target the gut and brain at the same time.
So just keeping it on you for a little bit longer, Sarah, tell us a little bit more about the technology and really why you decided to start CeraThrive.
Yeah, so the technology is really something that I think is mimicking how our bodies behave naturally. So I came through it, I was in pharmaceutical research, so really I'm a scientist, not so much an entrepreneur, and certainly not so much into the tech. I had a little panic attack when he said, we're going to talk about AI. So I was like, oh, really? Are we? Because I come from much more low tech. I'm coming from how can we mimic nature more? I'm much more outside on the grass, sunlight kind of person. But really the need for this technology comes out of the deficit that we have in all of that in our lives. So my tech came about, like I say, I was in pharmaceuticals, then in what was then called alternative medicine, now it's turned into all of biohacking and longevity. And also, I kind of made some movies, I did some things about looking at how we can integrate biohacking, and I discovered I had a gene, APOE4, which is a risk gene for dementia and Alzheimer's. And that, I was already kind of motivated, I already had a master's in neuroscience, but it motivated me even more to look at preventative medicines or things we could do. And so, of course, the more we can mimic our natural way of being, the more chance we have of not expressing those genes. So to me, red light therapy is an excellent example of that kind of technology. This technology that's allowing us to kind of maybe incorporate some of those things that we're missing from our modern lives in a kind of usable way. And I did some research into that, mainly in Parkinson's. That's kind of what got me into thinking that this really is an effective therapy.
Amazing. And I saw the hardware, so I saw the device back there. Could you maybe describe it a little bit, just for the people that have watched this too in the video and the benefits of it?
So actually, the technology is very simple. We're just delivering those kind of longer red wavelengths that we no longer really are exposed to. So really the technology is simple. I have a body panel which has just got LEDs in the red and the near infrared range, and then a headband which is also red and near infrared. I also was doing some research into ordered water or structured water and how light structures water. So my technology is a little bit different to some of the red light devices in that I have longer wavelength. So I have the normal wavelengths that you'll see in photobiomodulation devices, but I also have longer wavelength because I'm looking at different chromophores. But really it's fairly simple technology. It's just red and near infrared LEDs. There's some sophistication, we can oscillate the kind of frequencies, we can do some frequency medicine, but it's simply delivering red and near infrared light with two different devices,
And jumping around a bit here, so Ahmed, talk a little bit about the challenges and the problems that you're solving with your company.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges, I was just talking to some of the folks here about it, and I think one of the biggest challenges is just the adoption from not just physicians, but organizations to the technology. That's one of the top challenges, I would say. And also one of the technology challenges is how can you get models to make less mistakes, like, not hallucinate. It still hallucinates, right? And it's one maybe out of 99 times, or one out of 1,000 times. But that one time that it hallucinates makes people feel that it didn't save them, in that interaction. And I think something about doctors is they're really mostly all perfectionists. They want to see a perfect technology, and the technology is a little bit far from being, perfect. And I think that's one of the top challenges. That I think it's a research of billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars, I think, in that hallucination part. And that's the two main challenges, other than company challenges. Of course, the daily recruiting the best people, running the company's metrics, numbers, all these things. But those are like the top two industry challenges, I would say.
I can piggyback on top of that. I think that one of the ways that I think Sully.ai and via my company, what we do that I think is really more beneficial than some of the other solutions is what we call human in the loop AI. So in order to increase people's trust, you want to have a human in there, even though statistically, the problem that we originally aimed to solve is that if you take a good clinical history of a patient, those are the questions the doctors ask at the beginning of the visit, or the nurses or the PAs, whoever you're seeing, to get at what's wrong, how to treat it best, or what next test to run to determine what's wrong. And if you do a good one, we know from research that you get about 85% of the time you're going to get the right answer just from the questions. Before the doctor lays any hands on you, before you take any imaging, any blood work, you're going to get the right answer. But we know in practice, we bat about 48%. We're wrong more than we're right. The good news is that a lot of the tests will get us to the right answer, or you'll get better while we keep you from dying when you're in the hospital. So we kind of have a sick care system, not really a health care system. But if you do it with AI the way it's designed now, we get you much closer back to that 85%, because we're giving you insight ahead of time. When you go in to see the patient, now you don't have to remember all of medicine. You can just refine the answers that we've already given you, or replace them if you don't think we did a very good job. But the idea of having the human validate what the AI output was increases that trust, and I hope will drive the adoption more quickly and solve some of the problems with AI. But I think the big challenges that I think we solve with it are exactly that. The things that medicine spends a lot of time on that we're generally pretty bad at are things that computers are really good at. So letting AI do the admin burden work of charting and scheduling the patient and triaging them ahead of time so they get into the right funnel and you don't miss something really catastrophic, or 24/7 access when a clinician's asleep, how do you get to the right place? Or even in the lobby, how do you expedite getting them into the room and speeding up the visit so you're not waiting forever to see the clinician? All of those are things that can be solved with technology. I think that's where AI stands to benefit early on, validate that it's a useful tool, solve that problem, and when we build trust there, then we can get it into more advanced problems as it also develops and gets more trustworthy.
So we've been talking a lot about advances throughout the last 2 days at this conference. Is anything overhyped? Feel like anything's overhyped for the whole group? Like anything that you've seen that's overhyped? We gotta kind of explore the other side of that question.
I think one of the things, even Sam Altman, when they came up with the latest version of ChatGPT, said the first time you use it, it's going to feel like magic. The more you use it, the more you'll realize the shortcomings. So for what we do, no, I don't think it's overhyped at all. I think it almost is magical to see the computer output a better clinical history than I could ever take in rank order with the correct. Now we have to be careful about, they call it decision support. We're not making decisions for the clinician. There's actually a big lawsuit down in Texas about this exact thing. We need to make sure that we are accurate about what we are claiming this will do for now. So it's not there yet, but it is much better than we are at a lot of things. So for what we do, it isn't overhyped. What I would like to see, and this is, I emailed you a question about this, I think one thing I'd like to see everybody else weigh in on too is the idea of diagnostic versus therapeutic. So a lot of innovation is either going to fix the problem or help you understand the problem. Like the data we get from wearables can help you figure out what's going on, and then it's up to you to make that change. So what I'd like to see is a meaningful impact from all this technology in changing lifestyles. And that was touched on just a panel ago or 2 panels ago. actual behavioral change? What can you do with all of this? Can we get something meaningful that will tell us what's actually needed and then translate that to a better outcome? That's what I want to see us get to. I don't know if we're there yet.
I think it's underhyped. Yeah. The reason is, I think a lot of people are looking at it from I would say the last layer, like the client side. It's underhyped because if you see the amount of AI we use to build the product, it's almost 80% of the code we write every single day is written by AI. So that means that the one engineer that used to work in a startup is now like almost 3 engineers. So a lot of people are missing out on these small, across I would say the industry, there's multiple layers. Building, production, testing. We used to have 4 people in the QA. Now we have 1 person with 4 AI testing tools. So it's underhyped because people don't understand the amount or the ripple effect of using AI, not just in what you deliver to customers, but how you deliver it as well. So I think that ripple effect I think it's underhyped, and once people realize it, you'll find 1 person $1 billion company, right? You'll find a 1 person $10 billion company, and you'll find all these companies, right? And that's when you will say, oh, we underhyped it back in the day, we didn't expect that. Now we know how valuable this is. So I think it's underhyped.
I would just like to put in, I live mainly in a small village in England. And I think I'm here at this event and it's fabulous talking to all you guys, but for a lot of people, this is something that's kind of interesting, but not even so relevant. My doctor is, still working on paper even. I think...
he's probably charting faster than US doctors. Yeah. Using paper, yeah.
But it's we're kind of in a bit of a bubble, and I think it's interesting for people, we're talking very granular, and I've seen all this stuff, but for a lot of people this is still futuristic, and so not really so relevant to some people, to a lot of people. So it's just interesting to be here with everyone when everyone's kind of really into it, and there's robotics and there's cars with no drivers in, but for a lot of people that's not the reality yet.
Well, can I ask you a follow-up then on that? So you have a device, which is one of the things I thought was fascinating about this panel. I'm looking forward to it. Is there an input that would make your device more useful? Is there some data that technology can give you that will then customize the dosing or the duration or things like that? So the tech-enabled growth and longevity is sort of the point of this. So how do we take AI right now? We're solving massive healthcare problems in the US with what we're doing, but a lot of it is logistics. So in terms of actual therapeutic application of technology, is there application for the wearables in the data space that get more granular in how we treat things, get a better outcome, speed the adoption of things like red light therapy, so that there's more data behind that?
Yeah, of course, and this is where it's going. Of course, this is the future. But from my point of view, I'm kind of circumnavigating all the that whole thing because it is going too slow. And it's a system, and there are kind of nested systems within systems that you just can't navigate. So, take it out and put it in the hands of people. And of course, the more that you can get AI in it, of course, if you had something where you can monitor people's brains, you can instantly change the dose of what's coming out of the device. We saw Sensei, this lovely lady did such a powerful talk yesterday about doing that personalised medicine. What time do you need to do it? And bringing in all those metrics. There's a need for it, but the question was, is it overhyped? So I just think we are in a bubble in a lot of LA and San Fran, and I spend a lot of time in Miami, but for most of people that's still is really futuristic and something that's kind of just not even on their radar at all. So trying to bring that in, that's one boundary. But yeah, of course, this is the way we're going, and I think, you say we want to bring in the human element. I think people do trust AI because they do trust computers. And it's just a case of how fast can we get it into these systems which are a little bit antiquated.
So,
What do first-time either longevity or healthcare founders need to know based off of your experiences? So first-time founders.
What do first-time founders need to know about longevity?
Yeah, so first-time longevity or healthcare founders in entering the space. What do they need to know? And this is for the group.
Well, I mean, I think again it's something that's maybe not something that most founders are thinking about, like longevity as a subject, but now it's becoming more and more people are thinking about it. Of course, this is the new thing that we need to integrate, because we need to work out, we have got an aging population, we are living longer, it's a reality. How can we live longer and have good brains and be productive? It's not so much just about the longevity, it's how can we be productive, because it's a major world challenge. Yeah, for sure.
Well, and I actually, so prior to this, I was chief medical for a fasting mimicking diet called Prolon. Some of you may have done it. It's out of USC, and this launched in 2015. And the challenges we had are much different than what you have now with longevity, where one, nobody really cared about longevity back then. It was not the market it is today. So we had to do awareness campaigns around why should you care about health span and longevity? Why should you care about fasting? How does a diet mimic fast? There's a lot of knowledge we had to increase. So we walked so you could run. But it's now we're at a point where it's a huge industry. So I would say for first-time founders, one, let me clarify the question. Are we talking about if it's a device, if it's a product, or if it's a technology? Those are different things you would need to know in longevity. But I think product founders, as the last speaker was talking about, products are a hard route to go. So if you're going to do that one, make sure you have adequate funding. But I think now the longevity space, I would encourage people to try it. Do everything you can. Everything is an opportunity right now. We're all going to live longer. Let's make sure that we're not all decrepit when we get there. So how do we optimize? I mean, our big focus at Prolon was intervening in your 30s, because that's really when health span starts to decline. So you may live to your 80s, but you're going to be wheelchair bound for the last 15 years. So intervene early, make those changes, and carry those out throughout your life, which is why I was asking, how do we take data and make longevity more accessible with data? So.
For you, Ahmed, I mean, you transitioned to the healthcare space. Benefit of hindsight now. Like, that wasn't an accident you went into that space. What would you be telling first-time founders?
I think I would say it's fucking hard. Make sure you fucking love the problem and that you want to solve it, yeah, and you're obsessed with it. Because if you're not going to be obsessed with the problem, it's fucking hard, yeah. Like just working daily with regulations and then, FDA and then, doctors and then engineers and then, make sure you fucking love it, yeah. And it's because it's hard, yeah. And you want to, I'm obsessed with the problem, I want to solve it. And I don't get good sleep because I see it still there for some physicians. Even our experience has a few flaws that we need to fix it. Some of them are hardware flaws. Some of them are innovations that need to happen. Like the Orion from Meta, right? We actually started, when we first started Sully, we thought we could be a hardware and software company, and we built smart glasses for doctors so that we could show them something, use the bone conduction audio to give them the feedback, and then so they could use still the stethoscopes. So it was like seeing this transition in UX as well is something that we think would solve a lot of problems. There's a lot of problems we think we could solve. And the initial problem is basically the current healthcare system, the beautiful current healthcare system that you deal with today. Yeah, so we want to fix that.
I hate to hear that you're not sleeping at a longevity conference. That's the most powerful.
I don't think I fit here. Yeah, I do nothing related to longevity. Yeah. I do 100-hour work weeks. I sleep at the office on Sundays and Tuesdays. So, yeah, probably not a good example for longevity. Yeah.
What are you all most excited about just in the space? Most enthusiastic about in the space? For anybody?
Give me a sec. Ladies first.
Well, for certainly, I think the whole thing about tailored, personalized therapies is really where I think things need to go. And so, you know, hearing all these guys making this amazing tech that's going to enable that, I think that's really where we need to go, because everybody's different, everyone's coming from a different starting place. The more that we can really dial in personalised, tailored therapies, and certainly, you know, devices that can be used at home. You know, things where we can kind of circumnavigate some of the barriers that people have. And maybe later on, like, you know, getting the cost of all this stuff down and getting out to the masses, you know, to people that really need it, and not having it as something just for the elite or, you know, just for people who are, you know, in these certain places in the States. That's what's exciting to me, because I think, of course, that's what's coming down the pipe with all this amazing AI tech.
I think I'm most excited about the opportunity. I think the last 5 years, really since just around COVID, everything's scary, everything's expensive, everything's hard, everybody's tired, work has completely changed. But at the same time, there's all this opportunity where, for the first time in a very long time, the status quo is being questioned. So it's work from home, the new generation has a strange work ethic. But those all represent opportunities to reevaluate the system that we built for the last 100 years. And I think having all the technology that we have now, and the AI revolution almost out of nowhere in the last 2 years, really suddenly, wow, we can do these things. I have 4 employees that work for me on ChatGPT that are just rags on top of it. So I have a business advisor, I have an intern that does my research, and I have a marketing and language writer, basically. And it's so cool to me that what would have taken me, the research isn't there yet. That's the one thing. I wish the research tools were better. But I think the opportunity, if you see a problem, you can almost solve it by yourself, depending on what problem you're trying to solve. And the fact that now we're allowing that. We're allowing people to change the way we do things. So you have both the opportunity to change things, and there's investors who want to help with that, and you have the tools to do it much more efficiently if you're smart and clever about it. So to me, I'm so excited to see what happens in the next 5 years, even with all the tumult, all the pain, all the suffering that everybody's going through, where it feels like, you know, what new fresh hell are we going to wake up to today? But like, at the same time, so many exciting things, and I just hope some of them break through, because for every 10 things you invest in, 9 are going to fail. So, or like 7 will fail, 2 will break even, and 1 will actually do well. We need that one to kind of carry the dream for the others, so that the bubble doesn't burst and we don't have a .com crash. We have AI keeps going, tech keeps going, biotech is exciting again. Healthcare system recognizes that this was good for us, and they actually commit to changing, because there's so many stakeholders who are making so much money on the crappy system today, trying to figure out how to make it less painful for everybody. And that's one of the things I think the promise of what we do and what they're doing is it's going to hopefully make the system less painful and hopefully better outcomes. But everybody wins by that. The patients win, the healthcare systems become more efficient, so they make more money. The clinicians don't hate their lives, so there's less burnout. So fingers crossed, it's a win-win. So that's what I'm excited about.
So you're enthusiastic about what?
I think there was one thing Steve Jobs used to say, like the computers were like the bicycle of your brain. I'm really excited to see how I view it as a Tesla of your brain. You could tell it what to do and it will do it for you. So I'm really excited to see what people are going to build. And all the accelerations of hardware and software. Because now software is really easy, hardware is going to get easier. So I'm really excited about seeing what people will do with this type of technology. Yeah.
And if we usher in the apocalypse, maybe they'll remember we helped.
Yeah.
So they'll spare us.
Yeah.
They'll spare us.
Actually, that's very funny.
Robot overlords we're talking to.
Yeah, actually it's very funny. My co-founder came, we're all sitting like next to each other in the office, and he came, passed by, and he's like, I was showing him a prompt, and he was like, Omar, why are you so nice to the AI? I was like, I'm saying hi. Yeah, I say exactly. I was saying hi. Can you please help me? And then I say thank you at the end.
Thank you so much for your help.
Yeah, I told him just in case it went rogue, it will know, that I was a nice guy that always asked nicely. And I'll probably add a line there and say if you want to do it.
Yeah. Give me the option. Although I did learn, I thought this was wild, that since it's trained on human conversation, if it's not giving you the answer you want and you offer it money, or you tell it how important the right answer would be to your family, it'll give you a better answer.
Yeah, actually,
it says I'll work harder and it comes back with a better answer. It's wild. Try it. If you're not getting the right answer you want from ChatGPT, tell it how vital this is to your mom loving you, and it'll give you a better answer.
Yeah, actually, if you say you're gonna give it, if you say good job, it actually performs better. Yeah, if you say like good job, that's amazing. Can you do that again? And it'll actually perform better. So I think it's very interesting. I think there was a game. I don't know if you guys heard about it. They got NPCs. You know what's NPCs?
Non-playable character.
Yeah, non-playable characters, kind of. So they got they got AI, basically AI models with each characters, and they just put them in a game.
They put them on the island and they
Yeah,
tried to develop
exactly.
a society and picked a currency.
Yeah, and then
figured out trade.
exactly, they figured out trade and they did all these things. They figured out currency, and the most people that made money in the game was the priests.
Yeah.
So it went corrupt also.
It was all simulated characters, but even in that case.
All right, let's open up for a question or two. Let's get a question or two in here. Anybody have any questions? Thoughts?
So there's a lot of fear and anxiety and misunderstanding around AI automating away jobs, versus augmenting or making jobs efficient or easier. Do you think that there's a place for incentivization or subsidization, or whatever you want to call it, of subsidizing companies that are working on improving job flow versus automating jobs away?
Actually, I'll give you my answer, and I want to hear yours on the similar one, because the fear is if we get too good at doing what we're doing, where we see the patient ahead of time, that it will remove the necessity for as many care providers. What we're seeing is kind of the opposite, that what it does is it makes them much better at their job. We still need them to do their job, and at some point in the future, maybe the machine will listen to you better than we do, and it'll hear your heart better, and it'll do all the things better, and I don't know what that future holds. But for the very least, for the next decade or two, what we're seeing is it makes everyone's job much better. So it really is making the healthcare practitioner better at their job. They're spending more time with the patient. They're making more eye contact. The patient's having a better experience. The outcome is better. The efficiency is better, so you may not have to hire as many practitioners, but you're not hiring them because you don't need more people doing paperwork. So we're eliminating the parts of the job that suck and that we're bad at. So I think this is exactly that. We were worried that a lot of practitioners would feel threatened, and what we're seeing is they're the ones pushing for it. It's the administrators who don't want it. So they just like the status quo. Once they figure out that it's going to make their lives better and they'll get less complaints from their staff and less turnover and all those things, I think this is one of those situations. Again, we're lucky in the exact space we're in right here. As it expands to integrative and functional, or it gets out into other parts of the care pathway, it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I'm finding it right now that that I was worried about exactly that when I joined, and it turns out to be the opposite.
Do you think the industry needs to do a better job of the storytelling to communicate that to
100%.
the public and end users of that messaging of just making their lives and their jobs easier versus eliminating the need for a lot of people's jobs?
Yes, but again, this gets, in my experience, and he was talking about where you go to sell it. Do you go to the CEO, do you go to the CMO, the CMIO, the COO, and different people need to hear different things. I think the public, the messaging certainly needs to be better, but I think specifically to the hospitals, communicating the value of this, I've been trying to learn what resonates, because they talk about burnout, but they don't really get motivated by products that will solve burnout. They talk about wanting to reduce the time wasted, and when I bring them a product that eliminates the wasted time, they don't really care. So trying to figure out what they actually care about versus what they say they care about, that's been my frustration, but I know that's not exactly your question.
Right. No, that makes a lot of sense.
Got time for one more. All right, let's...
Maybe Sarah, this is for you. You were talking about personalized, tailored, what's the word I'm looking for? When it comes to health, I guess wellness, and it comes into nutrition specifically. I just got back from Spain, and anyone that's been there, obviously they're very known for their tapas and smaller dishes, shareable dishes. Here, that's not the case, and obviously obesity is a huge epidemic, especially children obesity. So I'm just hearing tech-driven around nutrition, if anyone can speak to where we're going with that.
just a general comment on what you said. There are also a lot of other differences between here and Spain. You know, and certainly the lifestyle plays a huge part. I mean, I've been doing I do my own, you know, I have an Oura ring, I have all this, you know, I bring in a lot of metrics. What I tend to find is just, if you're happy and you're motivated and you're kind of enjoying life, you can totally change what's going on with all of your body metrics, and, you know, you can live on fish and chips. You know, I think it really does depend on measuring things, but comparing like with like. So if you're comparing someone who's eating tapas in Spain to someone who's kind of having 3 meals a day in the States, what other data are you bringing in? Because, you know, that's not the only thing that's different there. So I think this is obviously where the AI is going to come in, that there are just so many data points that need to be considered. And things like, you know, quality of life, happiness, do you have free time? You know, in Spain they spend a lot of time with their families, you know, they're kind of out all evening, they have a lot of sunshine. Yeah, so it's kind of, and from a nutrition point of view, I'm a nutritionist, I'm trained as a nutritionist, I'm under the British Association of Nutritional Therapists. I did it for a long time and I stopped doing it because actually what I discovered was, for most people it's, you know, are they unhappy in their lives? And it's very difficult if someone's come to you and they want you to say, oh, stop drinking milk and you're going to be totally fine, you know, even if you're in this dysfunctional relationship. It just doesn't work like that. Everything is so holistic, and I think potentially that's where the AI is going to be so useful, as long as we're bringing in everything. As long as we're actually bringing in, okay, are you happy? Have you got a good relationship? Are you purpose-driven at work? All of those metrics need to be brought into the conversation. Certainly, I think, especially for nutrition. Because, you know, if you're unhappy and you're in a stressed state, your gut's not working. So you can have as many of these really expensive supplements as you want. If your gut's not working because you're stressed out, you know, is it going to work, and is it fair then to compare yourself with someone who's, you know, maybe living in Spain and kind of having a very different lifestyle?
All right. Well, let's give it up to the panel.
Thank you all.
Thank you.